Welcome. You're tuning in to Conversations with Customers, where we chat with PTC customers and hear their real-world experience of realizing success with our technology.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Lance Lambert. I'm a solutions consultant for Codebeamer at PTC. And I'm joined today by Vinayak Abhinkar, ALM Solutions Lead for TCS, William Bryant, Senior Project Leader, and Suchit Mate, Manager, Software Engineering at Polaris, to discuss the power of ALM in software-defined products. We'll examine how Polaris, in partnership with TCS, is leveraging Codebeamer to build software-defined products successfully. Let's jump right in. Gentlemen, based on your experience, what do you find are the top challenges that organizations face when building software-defined products? Suchit, maybe you can start.
Okay, thanks, Lance. Most of the time, I think the software-defined product would need the system engineering paradigm. And as the paradigm required for system engineering involves integrating the requirements, integrating the test cases, getting all of this together is a challenge. As well as we are going from mechanical to more software-driven products, or more controls and the softwares in the products. We will be looking at how do we get the information together so that we can build a thread around it. So that's another challenge. There is also a challenge around the change management as well, as all of the connectivity between different systems bring in the change management challenge, the complexity as well as the change management challenge.
As Suchit mentioned, we're going from more mechanical-based systems to systems with every product having a heavy reliance on a software electrical system. So the number of sheer requirements that we're managing now is exponentially higher than they were in the past. So going from like an Excel sheet to trying to manage thousands and thousands of requirements, we're really looking for an ALM solution that can meet those expanding needs to manage the software. Yeah, thanks, Will. Thanks, Suchit. Vinayak, anything from your side, from an implementation organization, what you've seen in the customers?
Yeah, thanks, Lance. So taking Will's point ahead, these manufacturing organizations are now want to morph themselves as a software organizations, and that's where is basically a challenge to basically adopt right tools, then technologies and a software culture like within them. That's one challenge we see. And second, definitely is with this multi-domain, the complexity is increasing, number of requirements, number of test cases, then interoperability between software and hardware. And managing this complexity is again definitely a challenge. And thirdly, what I see is the compliances are increasing, be it your functional safety, be it your risk, be it your automotive spice. So managing those compliances efficiently and effectively is a challenge what we see.
Yeah, thanks. That's an excellent point. Compliance is definitely a key topic for a lot of our customers.
Yeah, and one more point, then Lance, what we are seeing in industry is multi-level collaboration, like collaboration between OEM to tier 1 to tier 2 to pure software vendor or a pure hardware vendor or a chip maker. So these levels of collaborations are also one of the challenges.
Yeah, that's an excellent point as well. Collaboration with other parties is definitely a critical piece to all of this technology. So from the next step, Suchit and William, can you tell us more about your experience at Polaris and talk a little bit about what made you realize you needed an ALM solution and how you decided to implement Codebeamer and how has it helped in your processes?
Yeah, so let me start with that. I think as we mentioned in the previous question, the challenges, right? So, and as everyone knows, the products are evolving and heavy reliance on the control or the software-driven features. That leads into the complexity of the product. And it also increases the complexity around the platforms that we need to serve because the features or the controls that we have to put in have substantially increased. that increases the interaction, that complexity actually leads into the global development. Because you cannot just have it at one location, right? You would like to have a globally a diverse team to help out, as well as the development also requires the suppliers. So that development also comes into picture. So with the software-driven products, with the complexity, with a different product development model where you have to involve a lot of internal, external teams, it created a situation where we wanted to have an ALM solution to help out as a single source of truth for all the information, right? All the requirements, test cases, all other related information. So that drove, the Polaris to look for an ALM solution. Another point is you need to have more of a, to improve the quality, you need to have a robust DVP, which is a design verification plan and reporting. So that another piece also we looked at deciding as to what we want to go with, how we want to go with the ALM solution. So we decided to go with Codebeamer as Polaris has a footprint of PTC, as well as having the openness of the tool that Codebeamer provides was another factor where you could you can integrate with the other systems as well. Having a system engineering tool which provides an integration opportunity as well as end-to-end traceability between different engineering artifacts, that kind of draws to Codebeamer. So will you want to add anything else?
Yeah, I can add some more set examples to that. You touched on the need to go to an ALM to communicate across the globe and across suppliers. That's kind of the key tipping point for us that kind of kicked us over to an ALM is that breakdown information. That the communication got so complex to push to those suppliers that we needed an actual ALM tool to manage the life cycle of that product. And you mentioned process in here to where the tool has the flexibility to enable us to manage those processes that we have in place to try to sort out the bottlenecks in how we communicate to the suppliers.
Yeah, good points. I think both two things that you keyed on there. One was a single source of truth for that kind of upfront engineering data, I think is critical. As you mentioned, the requirements are typically where a lot of our customers start to try and manage that and decompose that and share that information across the organization with suppliers, as you mentioned, but also the openness, because we know a lot of organizations, including Polaris, have a lot of tools in your tool chain already today that really aren't going away and are very valuable to the organization. So it's critical to be able to integrate and get that digital thread across those solution stacks. And of course, not necessarily just PTC products, but other tools in the tool chain. So for those watching who may be thinking that it's time to invest in ALM, where should they begin? What should organizations look for in their ALM solution?
Sure. Thanks, Lance. So when we talk with our customers, the expectation starts with the tool should be very simple to use. It should be very high available. It should be deployed on cloud, and then it should support the agile way of working. That is one. Second, organizations are looking at is how I can share my tool with my suppliers, with my partners, with my customers, so that I can improve the collaboration. Third thing definitely is to improve the engineering efficiency, how one can reuse the artifacts across V. So to basically bring in this product line engineering practices and reuse is one of the definitely key aspects what we see with our organizations. And then, of course, lastly, it should support the model-based practices, integrate with these modeling tools, bring in those model elements, then establish entire traceability. And then organizations are saying is that they are looking at establishing a required traceability to make data-driven decisions. So I think these are some of the key expectations what we see from the organizations.
Yeah, thanks, Vinayak. Will and Suchin, anything to add to that with Polaris specifically?
Yeah, thanks, Lance. I'll kick off this one. So for us, it really starts around the capabilities of the tool and then the configurability of the tool. So were we able to take the tool, know that there's capability inside the tool that'll get us to where we want to be in the future, but still be able to be configured to meet us kind of where we're at today and come along for the whole journey of that systems engineering transformation. So a lot of capabilities in the tool then that are helping us take that information and decompose it through the systems V.
Yeah, thanks for that insight, gentlemen. I agree. There are a few key points for customers when implementing and onboarding a solution like Codebeamer. From PTC's perspective, we often see where customers will start with a few key groups, as you mentioned, and not try to transform the entire organization at one time. And I think also they focus on a particular area of emphasis within the systems engineering V, most commonly requirements management. I also think, as you mentioned, it's very key to have executive sponsorship when implementing a solution such as Codebeamer, but you also need that bottom-up approach where program teams and users within the organization are also bought into the idea and the value of implementing an ALM solution to make their day-to-day jobs easier and more efficient. So Will, Suchit, can you give your take on the typical roadmap for customers implementing and onboarding Codebeamer? And also, Vinayak, maybe some experience from TCS around what you see in typical roadmaps from other customers. Also, what are some of the best practices to follow on this transformation journey?
Yeah, so very importantly, the way we see is these implementations are basically multi-year implementations and needs to be planned with the right phases and releases. And each release basically giving a tangible functionality to a user. That is very important because when we do any release, some brownie points to be given to the business stakeholders so that they can start using a tool and then they start getting the advantage. That is one. Second important thing is what we see is all these implementations are domain-centric implementations. So alignment of business process in organization and then establishing a foundational data model is a very key here. And that typically we do to start with. And then what we see is when it comes to a implementation where there are multi-business units implementation, we need to differentiate between what is common across organization and what is BU specific. That basically decides your overall template strategy, which is a core I see for Codebeamer perspective. What is common and what is BU specific, and how that inheritance in configuration can happen. This is the second point. Third point, of course, we were speaking about organization change, starting the organization change early, starting the communication, identification of your change champions, and then advocating the tool. That is important. And lastly, you have to identify the programs or projects which will basically take this initiative and drive that initiative so as to present it as one of the cases in our organization. So these are some of the best practices what we see when we take this journey.
Yeah, thanks, Vinayak. Suchit, can you take us through the Polaris roadmap for rollout, please?
Yes, I think the main thing, as Vinayak, just to continue with what Vinayak said, the management advocacy to manage this deployment as a program is must actually. And I think at Polaris we are being lucky to have the management support with the system engineering transformation, and it's a multi-year journey. So I think it will take time, but I think that is must for the transformation as such. The second thing I would say is a regular communication cadence with all the key users to drive that alignment, because a lot of time when the initiative starts, and then if you don't have the communication channels, you're not basically getting the pull from the users as well. More from a tool perspective, I guess you probably need more of a alignment around all the teams as to what their expectations are around the tool, and then some sort of the pilots or the POCs as such. Those are some of the things more from once I think all the initial stages around the data model and everything are done. Those are some of the things that we look for, and I think we'll probably can add more onto how the pilots that has evolved has helped us as well. So maybe you wanna chime in, Will?
Yeah, thanks, Sujit. Getting on kind of what I was saying, we're finding those pilots, those early adopting projects. Like we were looking for projects that didn't really fit the mold of a pilot, or we're just trying to figure something out, and then it's kind of maybe some dummy data. We wanted to take real projects, so kind of transition them to that early adoption phase and get those learnings early in the deployment of Codebeamer and system engineering processes across the organization. So trying to show value early and often, and keep building out those processes around the tool and around the launch and how we organize our company to manage that vast amount of information that we're starting to gather.
Yeah, thanks. Well, one quick follow-up on that. I think also the vertical domain that you started with requirements management was another key decision on your part, right? Where you didn't necessarily try to transform a particular project team through all of the phases of the system engineering V, but just focused in on what you thought was one of the key value propositions was requirements management in this case.
Yeah, correct. It was the top down of that information. So we pretty good executing on the tail end. So it's just trying to make sure that we can get good information into the development process. So the ALM solutions and the processes around how to drive that really are key to make sure we're feeding good information into our development teams.
Yeah, exactly. I think I took two key takeaways from those responses. One was a top-down approach where we really have executive sponsorship for an implementation for ALM. It is an enterprise solution that needs that level of commitment from the organization, and also a bottom-up approach where we need to get the users excited about the value that a solution in the ALM space will bring in order to really change the organization and meet the business value that you're trying to accomplish. And with that in mind, I'll ask what the business benefits Polaris has experienced so far with the ALM solution rollout.
Yeah, I think I can start, and then maybe again Will can chime in. So one thing that has happened is increase the system engineering awareness. So that was one of the things that we started with. And then that increase in the system engineering awareness provided a rigor to decompose the requirements from system to subsystem, so from goals to system to subsystem to the component, as well as align them to the test. So that is more of a shift that's happening with the system engineering awareness. So that is one of the benefit. Other benefit that we are looking at is more of a better communication between the internal as well as the external teams, and as we mentioned initially, also some of the challenges that we had, we were able to at least solve the projects off the ground to do that. So those are the two main benefits, as well as there are other benefits that we had, and maybe Will, you wanna continue with the other benefits that we have?
The launch of the ALM solution has really been able to give us that single source of truth as we migrate other locations of that information into one location. We're able to drive that communication with pretty good earnest in the sense of where that information is. A lot of times if it's buried in a SharePoint, we're kind of trying to decide, okay, is this the real version? Is this a copy? When we can go to an ALM solution and say this is what the requirement is, and be able to track all that information, it's given us good value in the sense of we know the information is in its latest state, right? So we're getting a lot of value there in the sense of when we go to meetings, we know that we can trust the information versus maybe it's a copy, maybe it's not a copy, reducing all those bottlenecks of how we move that information around, especially from an external supplier standpoint. We were having a lot of bottlenecks with shipping information to some of our tier 1 suppliers through email. And obviously, you send an email that's instantly out of date from the information that's actually there. But when the external users and the internal users are all in the same environment, that information is live and right there. So it's that instantaneous transfer of information that's really been beneficial for us.
Yeah, so I think that really leads to trying to reduce rework downstream in the engineering process, right? You have the right information at the right time to the right organization or people within that organization, allows that hopefully late stage defects to be reduced as part of that process.
So maybe a couple of I can add. So one definitely is as we are talking about this single truth or single data truth. Key thing is it improves the visibility. So the right reporting provides the right visibility of a program execution, be it at a given point of time, what is my validation percentage, what is my confidence of a validation at a given point of time, or maybe for a particular feature, how many requirements are implemented for a given release. So that level of visibility definitely it provides. Other thing is, again, because of this complete traceable information, it helps for data-driven decision making. Simple example is a change impact, how upstream requirement is impacting my code, or it is impacting maybe my subsystem requirement or a software requirement, and then actual implementation elements. So these are some of definitely the advantages what we get when we overall implement ALM as a.
Finally, Vinayak will ask around how TCS helps customers implement Codebeamer and some of the pre-built capabilities and frameworks that TCS provides around implementing Codebeamer in an organization such as Polaris.
Sure. Thanks, Lance. So as a TCS, we have been working in this ALM space for more than a decade now. And our experts are working with multiple customers in implementing ALM solutions. So today we have 100 plus Codebeamer experts who are working on the transformational journey with our customers, and then we help customers right from strategizing till putting down the overall implementation multi-year roadmap, then configuration, support, and data migration. And then we have our own methodologies and practices basically to help customers to accelerate these implementations. At TCS, we have our own Codebeamer lab where we work on developing pre-built solutions and frameworks with our Codebeamer experts. Couple of them would definitely I would like to mention here is we have our automotive spice template on Codebeamer, which basically enables your system and software business processes. We have our validation solutions, which basically integrate Codebeamer with Mill or Hill frameworks. TCS has developed its own Codebeamer data migration platform or tool, which basically migrates data from multiple ALM tools to Codebeamer. And that is basically a very good accelerator which helps migrating data from multiple like legacy tools, be it DOORS, be it DNG, be it TestRail, so many, and then similar other tools. So overall, this is the way by which we work with our customers to make them success in their overall implementation journey.
Suchit and William, can you share some ways that implementing a single ALM solution has made your day-to-day jobs easier or more efficient?
Yeah, let me start. I guess one thing, as we've discussed, Codebeamer is going to be the source of truth in the organization. That would reduce the number of tools that we need to basically use on a single day, and also the integration, the interfaces with the different groups using different tools becomes a difficult job or journey. So implementing ALM as a single tool would reduce the other number of tools that we have, and it will streamline the process around the day-to-day jobs that team has to go through. Other than that, I think a single tool brings in other benefits, as you have to follow a similar workflows, the workflows that need to go through that are basically streamlined, standardized using single tool. So those are some of the things which actually helps day-to-day job easier and kind of helps streamline the activities in the development area. I think, Will, you want to add a few more things on that?
From my standpoint, that single AM solution really helps us from a growth standpoint. Like from a day-to-day, a lot of my job is planning out and how do we progress the ALM solution and our processes around it. And if you have more than one, then you're kind of splitting your time up. But from an efficiency standpoint, when we're going to one ALM solution, we're looking for that one place. So the commonality across the groups that are using it then drives us into one location and really helps us plan out how we want to deploy that and how we'll make those gains currently and in the future. So from a day-to-day standpoint, that's probably the biggest benefit from my aspect.
Yeah, thanks, gentlemen. Those are excellent points. I think we all understand that we all have a lot of tools in our tool stack, so to speak, on a day-to-day basis. So trying to eliminate some of those is critical for efficiency, especially when it comes to getting your day-to-day job done. Thank you to our panelists and to our audience for spending your time today to discuss how ALM can help companies at the cutting edge of software improve their processes and product development. That concludes our session. Thanks again to Polaris for sharing their experience and to TCS for their insights.